3 months into my marriage, I locked myself in the bathroom at 2 a.m. and Googled how to divorce a Spanish woman. Don't judge me yet. By the end of this story, you'll understand. And this is me, the night Spain won the World Cup, on my living room floor, in a bowtie, next to anniversary flowers nobody would ever look at. Around me, a drum, a grandmother in face paint, and a stranger named Javi on my sofa. My name is Mark. 2 years ago, I married a Spanish woman and accidentally married her entire country. Her family, her grandmother, her grandmother's ham. And one day, I almost lost all of it because of one sausage. This is everything nobody warned me about. So, my wife is Spanish, and the first thing nobody warns you about is dinner time. It's my first week in Spain. 6 p.m., I'm starving. I go to the restaurant downstairs, closed. Chairs on the tables, and the sign says they open at 8:30. 8:30. So I ask my wife, Emma, where does this country hide its food? And she looks at me with actual pity, like I'm a lost puppy, and says, honey, nobody eats at 6. 6 is practically breakfast. Turns out 8:30 is when they open for tourists. Real people show up at 10. And they actually eat at 11. At 11 p.m., I am legally asleep. That's not dinner, that's a midnight snack with witnesses. And that night, of course, we had dinner with her entire family. 26 people. I asked if that was everyone. She said no, Uncle Pepe was fishing. Now, I knew I wouldn't survive until 11. So at 7, I did what any reasonable man would do. I hid in the living room with a box of emergency crackers. I heard her steps. I grabbed a book. Smooth, right? Except the book was upside down. And apparently, crackers crunch. She walked in like a detective who already solved the case. Hand them over. I said, these are my emergency crackers. I have rights, she said. And I quote, not in Spain, cariño. And then she said something terrifying. She said, if I show up at Abuela's table with a full stomach, Abuela will know. She looks into your eyes, and she just knows. I gave up the box, the 2 crackers in my pocket. Don't ask how she knew about the pocket. 11 p.m., we arrive, and I see it. A table long enough to land a plane on. 3 generations. The kids are there. There's a 6-year-old named Mateo eating olives and doing a puzzle, completely unbothered, like it's noon. Nobody's tired. The grandmother, is telling jokes and absolutely crushing it. My energy at noon wishes it was her energy at midnight. My wife just tapped her head and said she napped. That's the system. At some point, her uncle stood up, in his chair, and started singing. I asked why. My wife said, because the rice was good. The rice was good, of course. And then, somewhere around midnight, I looked around that table, and something hit me. 3 generations. 1 table. Nobody is checking a phone. Her dad and her uncle were arguing about a goal from 1994, and they were both happy about it. And I thought about my dinners back home. 6 p.m., 15 minutes, alone, in front of a TV. For years, I thought that was normal. Turns out, I wasn't having dinner. I was just eating. But here's the part that really broke my brain. We finished eating at 1 a.m., and somebody left the table. It's called la sobremesa, the time after eating. The plates are empty, but the table is still full. Full of stories, coffee, arguments about football. My wife says some families do the sobremesa longer than the dinner itself. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I didn't want to check what time it was. I just asked them to pass the tortilla and told the uncle I wanted the second verse. I used to say out loud at dinner that the siesta is why Spain's economy is behind Germany's. I no longer say that. Partly because I was wrong. Partly because I want to live. Okay. Next thing they don't warn you about. It's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. I need the pharmacy. Closed. The bank? Closed. The hardware store? Closed. And then I see it. Through the window of the post office, a dog. Sleeping. I inside the post office. And I remember thinking, even the DRJ has given up on this country's schedule. I run home to report this national emergency. My wife doesn't even look up. She just says, "It's siesta." Like that explains everything. And I go, "What if someone urgently needs stamps at 2:30? And she says, "Then someone waits until 5. Like a civilized person." So I decided to protest. American style. If they can sleep, I can be productive. I took the lawnmower out back at 3 p.m. Within 90 seconds, I am not exaggerating, 3 windows opened. An old man in a bathrobe stared at me. He was holding a slipper, not wearing it, holding it, like a warning. My wife appeared with a chair, sat down, and said, "Go on, start the mower. I want to watch what happens to you." I did not start the mower. Instead, she took me inside. Just once, she said, "Try it." And she did this thing with the blinds, the persiana. Spanish engineering. Total darkness at 3 in the afternoon. NASA wishes it had this technology. I lay down purely to prove a point. I was going to lie there for 5 minutes, get up, and say, "See?" Nothing. I woke up at 6. 3 hours, people. I dreamed I was a fisherman. I had a boat. Her name was Esperanza. I have never owned a boat. I saw cultures I can't describe. My wife asked if I still wanted to file a complaint against the siesta. I told her I wanted to notarize it, put it in our marriage contract. I have not missed a siesta since. That was 2 years ago. So the siesta and I made peace. But there is one thing in this country you do not make peace with. You surrender to it. Completely. Remember the bow tie on the floor? It's time. Now, the football. You saw the beginning of this story. The bouquet. The floor. Let me explain how a grown man ends up lying next to his own anniversary flowers. I had planned the perfect anniversary. Restaurant booked a month ahead, ironed shirt. I even wrote a speech. And that morning, my wife sits me down and says, "Whatever you plan tonight, cancel it. Spain plays the final." And I said the words. The words no husband should ever say in a Spanish house. I said, "It's just a game. 11 guys kicking a ball. The sullen's play, friends. Remember what I told you about silence in this family?" My wife looked at me the way you look at a man who has just insulted your entire bloodline. I corrected myself very fast. An important, historic, sacred ball. By 8 p.m., my living room was a stadium. Her grandmother arrived in face paint. She has believed since 1964. Her uncle brought a drum, and on my sofa sat a man I had never met in my life. His name is Bowtie. He watched the semifinal on that sofa. And Spain won, so now he has to watch every match there. That's not a superstition, I was told. That's science. They assigned me a seat. Left side of the sofa, because I sat there during the semifinal. Nobody changes seats after kickoff. I asked what happens if I move. My wife said, very calmly, "We lose. And everyone will know it was you." And here's the embarrassing part. Somewhere around minute 20, it got me. I heard myself screaming, "Ref, are you blind?" Had a television, in a room full of people who had known me for exactly 2 hours. They cheered me like a newborn son. Then came the penalty. The whole room stood up. The grandmother started praying. Avi lay down on the floor. Apparently, that also helped Spain win. My wife grabbed my hand and said, "Nobody breathes." Goal. I don't fully remember the next 10 minutes. I know we ended up on the street. I know I hugged the mailman. Twice. I don't know his name. Nobody knows anybody on a night like that, my wife says tonight. Everybody is family. At 3 a.m., the street was still singing. And I realized I had planned candles and a violinist. And instead, I got a drum, a stranger named Javi, and a grandmother teaching the mailman a victory dance. Best anniversary ever. Just don't tell the restaurant. That party ended at 3 a.m., which brings me to the most dangerous skill I've had to learn here. How to leave a Spanish party. You think you just walk out the door? Oh, you sweet summer child. Now let me teach you the most important Spanish survival skill. Leaving a party. You think that's easy? You sweet summer child? In Spain, a goodbye is not an action. It's a journey. It's called la despedida, and it has 4 phases. Phase 1. You announce you're leaving. Nobody moves. Nothing changes. This phase alone, 20 minutes, minimum. Phase 2. The table. Goodbye. You're still sitting. You just say goodbye while remaining completely seated. Someone pours you one more coffee. You take it. You're committed now. Phase 3. The standing. Goodbye. Everyone's on their feet. Progress, right? Wrong. Because standing is when the best stories come out.
He said goodbye to her aunt, and 40 minutes later, that same aunt was telling a brand new story. A long one. With characters.
And then phase 4. The doorway. My friends, the doorway is sacred territory. The doorway is where the real family news lives. My wife learned her cousin was having a baby in a doorway. My own surprise birthday party was leaked in that exact doorway. And just when you think you're free, the grandmother appears. And she's holding something warm. The tupper. Food for the road. The road, I should mention, is 8 minutes, downhill. There was enough rice in that container for a week. And 2 forks. I asked why 2 forks. My wife said, "In case we get hungry together, obviously." Obviously, Mark. Obviously. Here's what I've learned. You don't refuse the tupper. Taking the tupper is how she says she loves you. Refusing the tupper is how wars start. So next Sunday, I'm bringing that tupper back, full. My mother's lasagna. My wife warned me, do that and this family will never let me leave. And I thought about it. We were 4 phases into a 1-hour goodbye. There was never an exit. And honestly, phase 4 is my favorite phase. Now, all that food Abuela packs into the tupper has to come from somewhere. Which brings us to the place that broke me as an American. A restaurant with 1 potato. Let's talk about restaurants. Because I walked into a tapas bar like a confident American man, and I walked out a changed person. My plan was simple. Order dinner. 1 dinner. A normal dinner. I'd been practicing my Spanish. I was just going to point and say grande. Everything grande. The waiter brought me a potato, a single potato, singular, with a toothpick in it. It's called a patata brava, and apparently that's not an appetizer for the appetizer. That is the order. Also, and nobody explains this, free olives just appear. With the drinks. I didn't order olives. My wife said, "The olives just come, Mark. It's hospitality. Don't question the olives." And then she explained the system. You order a little thing, then another little thing, and another. And this is the part that broke me. You share all of them. Share? Share? I'm an American. I'm a man of 1 plate. A big personal plate with borders.
Meat at 6 o'clock, potatoes at 9. My plate is my castle. And my wife said the sentence that rewired my brain. She said one big plate means one conversation with yourself. 12 little plates means 12 conversations with me. I watched her fork descend on my last croquette, and something inside me died. And then something else woke up. She made me say it out loud. Our last croquette. This marriage is expensive. People. Emotionally. 2.5 hours later, we had ordered 12 rounds. 12. I was mentally preparing for bankruptcy. I asked her to look at the bill and tell me gently. Start with, everything will be okay. 18 euros total. 1.8. In New York, a lettuce leaf with attitude costs 18. A bottle of water costs 9. And here's the thing. That lettuce leaf in New York never made me talk to my wife for 2.5 hours straight. About everything. Childhood, dreams, that weird thing with my boss. Little plates, big conversations. That's the math of tapas. We ordered round 13. We weren't done talking.
And let me say the thing I'm not supposed to say. American restaurant culture is a scam. $18 for lettuce. 3% wellness fee. Tipping on takeout. My wife's country fed us both for 18 euros, and nobody asked me to rate the experience. But tapas was just training. Boot camp. Because nothing prepares you for the final boss of Spanish food. A 90-year-old woman with a knife older than her country.
Now, the most dangerous room in all of Spain. Grandma's kitchen. Before we entered, my wife gave me the rules like a mission briefing. Rule 1, whatever Abuela offers, you eat it. Rule 2, when you finish, she offers more. You eat that too. Rule 3, there is no rule 3. The rules are eating. I had just survived 13 rounds of tapas. I was 70% croquette. And I said the forbidden words. I physically cannot. My wife looked at me and said,
If you see this Herzamon, you'll break an 80-year-old heart. Is that what you want, Mark? To break Abuela?
That's emotional blackmail. That's family, she said. Smile. We're going in. And then Abuela came out carrying an entire leggy thigh. A leg of an animal, people. That's the jamon. And not just any jamon, the reserva. She'd been saving it. The last time she cut the reserva was for a wedding. The whole room went quiet. Her uncle took off his hat. The first slice of a jamon is a ceremony. She cuts it paper thin, with a knife that's older than the country, and you take it with your hands. Never the fork. Never the fork. So I ate it. And I don't have words for it, but I tried anyway. My face apparently tried for me. Because Abuela watched me eat, and then she said something quiet and patted my arm. And my wife's mother started crying. She said I eat like her late husband did, with my whole face. Happy, loud, grateful. He's been gone 40 years, and she still cuts the jamon the way he liked it. And look, I know I was full. I know. But some moments in life you don't think. I asked for more. I asked if there was more, people. She lit up like Madrid at Christmas. And then she wrapped half the leg, half the reserva, for me to take home. Her own grandchildren have waited years for that jamon. My wife was speechless. I just said, Abuela and I understand each other. It's a jamon thing.
So Abuela and I were good. The family and I were good. But Spain itself, Spain had one more weapon waiting for me. A single word. The most powerful word in the Spanish language.
Let me tell you about the most powerful word in the Spanish language. Mañana. The dictionary says it means tomorrow. The dictionary has never been to Spain. My kitchen had a leak. The plumber said mañana. That was 4 days ago. I checked my dictionary, I checked my calendar, and by every known law of mathematics, tomorrow happened 3 days ago. My wife sat me down like a doctor delivering news. Mañana doesn't mean tomorrow, she said. It means not today. Soon, when the universe aligns. The universe, people. My kitchen is flooding and we're waiting on the universe. I should mention, I had a spreadsheet, a weekly task spreadsheet, color-coded, and it was all red. My wife asked, and I quote, "And how is the spreadsheet feeling about all this?" Don't mock the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet was the only one who understood me. So she proposed an experiment. One day, one single day without the spreadsheet. Just go to the market, buy bread, exist like a leaf in the wind. I told her nothing would happen. Things happen when you schedule them. Here's what happened. The baker asked about my leak. How does the baker know about my leak? Everyone knows everything here. That's not gossip, that's infrastructure. Then a man at the plaza told me I looked too fast and made me sit down. We played chess for 3 hours. His name is Paco. I lost 4 times. It was somehow the best afternoon of my life. Then Paco's dog liked me. And long story short, I am now the godfather of a dog named Churro. There was a small ceremony. I cried a little. This is real. I have photos. And while I was out there, losing at chess and gaining a godson, the plumber came. Fixed everything. Perfectly. Left no bill. He left flowers. From his garden. With a note for the nice foreigner who finally stopped calling every morning. Mañana always comes, my wife says. Exactly when it needs to. Not when the spreadsheet says. So we burned the spreadsheet. Okay, we recycled it. This is a civilized country. But spiritually, we burned it.
And now we've arrived. The sausage. The story I promised you at the beginning. Today, I almost lost my family, my marriage, and my residence permit over a paella.
Let me tell you about the day I almost got deported. Not by the government, by the family. I decided to surprise everyone. I cooked paella by myself. I watched 11 videos. I bought the special pan, and I added my own secret ingredient, chorizo. I put chorizo in the paella. If you're Spanish, you just gasped. If you're not, let me explain the crime I committed. A famous British chef once put chorizo in paella on television. Owen Sadalizia declared him an enemy of the region. The mayor got involved. There are still memes. My wife stared at me and said, "Chorizo in paella is not food, Mark. It's a declaration of war." And in 1 hour, her entire family was coming to dinner, including Abuela, who has been judging paellas since before color television. I asked if I should run. My wife said there's nowhere to run. This is Spain. Everyone knows everyone. They'd find me by Thursday. Dinner time. They eat. Nobody talks. My wife whispers. They're deciding. Deciding. What? Your fate. And then Abuela took a second spoonful. A second spoonful hadn't happened since 2011. She put down the spoon. She stood up. She walked toward me. My wife squeezed my hand and whispered, "Whatever happens, I loved you." Loved. Past tense, Abuela hugged me and whispered something. Translation. It's not paella. Paella has rules. But as arroz con cosas, rice with things, it's the best I've had in years. And then she leaned closer and admitted something I will carry to my grave. She adds a little chorizo too, when nobody's watching. For 60 years. What happens in the kitchen stays in the kitchen. That's the real rule one. She told me her deepest secret, which means I'm family now. I feel like I got inducted into the mafia. The rice mafia. There's no way out. I don't want one.
So I survived the rice mafia. But living inside this family, I discovered something science cannot explain. The volume. My friends, let me tell you about the loudest people on planet Earth.
One evening, I ran to my wife in a panic. Emma, your family is fighting. Your mom is yelling, your uncle is waving his arms, your aunt just slammed the table. She listened for 4 seconds and said, they're discussing where to buy bread. Bread. That volume in America means someone is calling a lawyer. Here it means Tuesday. The physics of a Spanish house are impossible. Everyone speaks at 11. The TV is at maximum. The neighbors join conversations through the window. There are 3 discussions at one table, and everybody is somehow in all 3. I asked my wife how loud can possibly be normal, and she taught me the real secret of this family. She said, you want to know what an emergency sounds like in a Spanish house? Silence. If this family ever goes quiet, that's when you worry. Quiet is the nuclear option. She's seen it twice in her life. She still has nightmares about both. And then I remembered. The week before, I burned the toast. And her mother looked at me and said, nothing, just looked. Turns out that was the angriest anyone in that family had been since 2015. Aunt Carmen called the next day to ask if we needed mediation. Over toast. So I made a decision. Nobody goes quiet at me again. I'm learning to yell about bread. Beautifully. Passionately. At 11. Because in this house, loud means everything is fine. Loud means everyone's alive. Loud means love.
Loud means loved. It took me 2 years to understand that, and one more mystery took even longer. Why does this entire country, every evening at 7, go for a walk to nowhere?
And now, the last mystery. Every evening at 7, the entire town goes outside and just walks. Slowly, in nice clothes, going nowhere. It's called El Paseo, the evening walk. I asked my wife, a walk to where? She said, not to anywhere. The walk is the point. I did not understand that sentence. The walk needs a point A and a point B. My first paseo, we covered 200 meters in 40 minutes. We stopped 9 times. Senora Pilar needed to tell us about her roses. The pharmacist asked about my leak. Everyone is very invested in the leak. And Paco showed me Churro's new trick. My godson can shake paws now. He's gifted. Then ice cream. Because a paseo without ice cream is, and I quote, just walking. And you know what's strange? I used to power walk. I had a pace. I had podcasts at 1.5 speed. And there I was, moving at the speed of a relaxed snail, completely happy. But here's the part I'll never forget. Her grandmother, 90 years old, walks the paseo every single evening. Hasn't missed one in 40 years. And she greets every person by name. She knows their parents' names, their DOGS names. 50 years ago, a doctor prescribed her the evening walk. It's good for the heart, he said. He meant cholesterol. But my wife says he was right about the heart, just not the way he thought. Because the paseo is why, at 90, she is never lonely. Every evening, the whole town says hello to her. The walk with no destination was the destination all along. So now, every day at 7, I put on my good shoes, and we walk. Nowhere, together. Same time tomorrow, every day, forever. That's the paseo.
Oh, and that 2 a.m. Google search from the beginning? My wife found it last year. She She laughed for 10 minutes, then showed me her search history. From month 3. How to divorce an American man. We keep both screenshots framed in the kitchen, right above the paella pan.
So that's Spain. That's my family. I eat dinner at 11 now. I nap like a professional. I yell about bread. I'm in a secret rice society with a 90-year-old woman. And tomorrow at 7, I have a very important walk to nowhere. Now it's your turn. Tell me about your country. What's the one thing that drives every newcomer completely crazy until one day they can't live without it? Write it in the comments. The best story becomes the next episode. And trust me, we will move to your country. We have no self-control. You've seen the show. Sleep well, my friends. And if it's siesta time, where you are, you exactly what to do. Buenas noches.
And if you're sitting there thinking, my country would drive him crazy in a week, prove it. Comments. Go.